All right. Thank you for having us. We are Hawk.ai. I'm Frederick, the CEO and co-founder. And right now we are building the world's most powerful financial crime detection platform in Munich. So the UK and Germany have something in common. We both have the faith of really a massive money laundering problem of 100 billion each right now going on. But we're not alone. So in the world, we're experiencing a crisis right now of money laundering, mostly triggered by organized crime, terror financing, or tax evasion. And that causes us a societal loss of around 5% of global GDP right now, or 3.8 trillion. And we're not catching any single offender right now. So regulators are pretty much overwhelmed, and they are pushing this problem onto the banks right now. And banks are working in an environment where they are faced with 200 daily changes in money laundering regulation globally. And European banks are already spending 50 billion per annum on this problem. And effectively, they're haunted right now by these regulators. So by the end of last year, banks have spent 320 billion on fines for compliance wrongdoings. And CEOs of these banks are running a massive compliance risk right now, and it's their worst nightmare. And if we're looking at within the bank, they are running a super inefficient, unbelievably inefficient compliance operation. So the bank is obliged to look at every single transaction for money laundering that runs through their books. And they use systems for this, which are 30 to 40 years old. And these systems create a massive amount of false positives, so irrelevant information that a human has to look at. And if we look, for example, at the American bank, they have about 8,000 people right now looking at the problem manually. So that's crazy. And so we talked to a Big Four partner, and he just said banks are currently just waiting for the savior to get out of this misery. So we took a handful of compliance and banking experts to the whiteboard at the beginning of this year, and we just drew their perfect solution. And our solution is based on 4 core capabilities that we're bringing to this industry that is going to help with the problem. So 1, you need a global collaboration platform for the industry if you want to have any impact on the underlying problem of money laundering. You need to bring the regulators on board, and you need to start a structured information exchange because it takes a network to defeat a network. Second, we need to start introducing smart decision-making to this domain. This problem screams for machine learning application, and we can greatly reduce today the amount of irrelevant information that these banks are currently looking at with humans. And thirdly, we need to start providing compliance as a service to a bank. So our service is completely maintained, it's customizable by the bank, and it's simple to integrate with the existing ecosystem and is not really dependent on their system. And the result is a fraction of the total cost of ownership for the bank if they use this service. And lastly, it might sound very simple, but a bank is desperate for a cleaner and smarter user interface right now because they have Asian systems that they're using. So that's what we're building right now. We're building the most efficient and most effective solution in the market by far. We are providing a service that's covering the end-to-end compliance process of a bank in their AML domain. So we're doing the setup, the testing of their rules. We're doing the intelligent real-time transaction monitoring. We're doing the investigation, and we help them file it with a regulator. And already today, as I stand here, we make a bank 30% more efficient in these processes with our solution. And it's eventually our proposition to the bank is we increase the detection rate, we increase their operational performance, and we decrease their total cost of ownership for the bank. And this is how we are approaching the market right now. So when you look at money laundering, it's a field that touches upon many domains in the bank. And we started with transaction monitoring because it lends itself to our big data capabilities. But now we're talking with these banks, we're realizing there's so many related fields that we're now understanding and developing deep domain expertise and growing niche by niche from our platform into these problems. Sorry. And obviously, selling to a bank is not easy, but it's very doable if you have a crystal clear value proposition and if you have a service that's easy to integrate with their existing infrastructure, and if you have a team that's credible and trustworthy. And I think we have the most credible and trustworthy team in the market. So you need to be a specialist or an expert in a number of fields. You need to understand big data and machine learning. You need to be able to provide high performance, reliable SaaS services. You need to be an expert on information security. You need to be an expert in regulation and compliance. And you need to understand the banking industry. And this is well covered on this page right now. So we're 10 people right now, working out of Munich on this solution. We're backed by the former founders of Payon. And to summarize where we stand, so when we kicked off the beginning of this year, we were having the very ambitious, or we set the very ambitious goal of going from 0 to being live at a bank within 12 months. And we're very well on track for this right now. So we're seeing overwhelming demand in the market for our solution. We have several LOIs signed. We have a well-advanced sales pipeline, and we have attractive partnership deals coming up to further help us multiply this. In essence, our product is validated, our technology is ready, and right now we just can't answer every client meeting that we would like to, and this is one of the reasons why we're looking to raise additional funds over the coming month. So this is in essence how we try to fight financial crime at Hawk.ai. Thank you for having interest in our journey, and I look forward to discussing this with you afterwards. Thank you.